Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah and I am a Western practical astrologer. So I am here today to talk about the Gemini personality. So looking at the personal planets and the rising sign within the sign of Gemini. The personal planets being the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus and Mars. So stay tuned. But before we do dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and click the bell. And if you are interested in a personal reading from myself, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my practical astrology ebooks and merch. All the links will be in the description box below. I do hope that you find this video to be helpful today. Let's do this. Okay, so before we do get into this, I want to know, do you have any Gemini placements? Let us know in the comment section. Okay, so to begin looking at the Gemini personality just overall here, if you have a Gemini personality, you are intellectual, versatile, inventive, you are a researcher, you're also very bright. And if we were to compare this personality to the Taurus personality, you find it very difficult to relax in comparison to Taurus types. Why, you might ask? Because your mind, your brain is lit up. And what I mean by this is there is always something you're thinking about, learning about, looking up, talking about. Trying to rest your mind can be quite the challenge. And trying to move from the mind and into the body can be quite difficult as well. You know, it's interesting because whilst I don't have any personal planets in Gemini, Mercury, so the ruler of both Gemini and Virgo, Mercury is very dominant in my chart. In fact, it's my most dominant planet. Now, Uranus is my second most dominant planet, so this probably adds to what I'm saying here or about to say. But my mind never shuts off. It's hard to sleep. Overthinking can be all-consuming, and trying to make my mind up can be almost impossible. There's always changes that I want to make to things as well, though perhaps that's my Virgo energy. Still, as a Gemini person, right, perhaps you can relate. And there is just so much curiosity when it comes to you. You'll happily socialize with friends and lovers if you have Venus in Gemini. You'll pursue your intellectual goals, which often involve creativity if you have Mars in Gemini. And you'll delight in some harmless banter if you have the Sun in Gemini. Moreover, you can be changeable. You can easily adapt to new situations and try out new ways of doing things. You'll play around with new ideas. You can be pretty flexible, and you may also play around with different roles and characters, so to speak. And you can also mirror the mannerisms and the traits of others. And I find this to be interesting because it's often said about you that you're two-faced, suggesting that you can be deceitful, you can be insincere. And okay, sure, perhaps for some of you or many of you, especially when you're younger and you're immature, you can act two-faced. You might go behind other people's backs or spread terrible rumors about them, maybe because you were hurt or because you find it kind of funny to spread information about other people. But as you age and mature, you grow to be truthful. You grow to be honest with your words. And you're much more sincere, even if the truth hurts as well, might I add. But you also understand that how you behave with one person may be completely different to how you behave with another person. This doesn't make you insincere. In fact, we all share different parts of ourselves around different types of people. I mean, I'm not going to go up to the barista and start kissing them and hugging them. I'm going to do that with my boyfriend. And just bringing this back to the whole mirroring thing. Mirroring others is what we all subconsciously do. When we mirror other people's body language, for example, this is a non-verbal way of showing empathy, of connection, of showing and communicating interest, and so on. And this is even more interesting because you are one of the signs that rules both the conscious and the unconscious mind. The other, of course, is Virgo. But thinking about Mercury, or Hermes in mythology, Mercury was the messenger of the gods, and Mercury delivered information back and forth. This is what happens in the mind between the conscious and the unconscious. There is this back and forth process. And so it's you, Gemini, who acts as the messenger. In both conscious and unconscious ways, you entertain others, you're humorous, you get others thinking, you get them questioning, and you communicate what you really think and you learn from your environment. You continuously pick up messages and signals around you, and oh my goodness, you are amazing with words. You are brilliant at articulating yourselves, and when you hear what other people have to say, you can grasp the concepts and the ideas so well. You can break down a huge paragraph into just a few short words, but in a way that really makes sense. And when you do these types of things, what happens? People feel heard. They feel like they are being listened to, they're being understood. And this right here is empathy. This is compassion, but maybe not in the forms that they often come in. Though, on the other hand, there can be moments when you're so logical and you're so heady that you miss the emotional part. The sensitive and the sacred part, you miss these things. But again, this could be something that changes with time. You may grow to consider the feelings, but in much more conscious ways rather than in an unconscious way. And at the same time, you aren't the types to be manipulated by emotions either. You'll call others out for that type of behavior really fast. Though essentially here, it's you, Gemini, who brings the amusement. You're such youthful and charming people, and you appreciate your freedom. All right, so let's get into these personal planets and the rising signs. So we're going to begin by looking at the Gemini rising. So if you have your rising in Gemini, when other people first meet you, they are greeted with these qualities of humor, curiosity, restlessness, and youthfulness. You might be quite a scattered walker, or you might not be paying attention often or sometimes. Or it's that whilst you're sort of taking the world in around you, you're thinking about it, you're talking about what you see in your head, or you're communicating what's on your mind very swiftly with other people. There is a lot, basically. There's a lot of movement when it comes to you. It's like you need to keep your mind active or your body moving, such as fidgeting, tapping, chewing, running your hands through your hair. And you also have many aims and many ambitions. There are plenty of options to explore. Also, you can come across as chatty, engaging, and social. Or you can come across as if you're in a rush, as if you really need to be somewhere. It really does depend. It depends on the day, depends on your mood. And you can also be quite persuasive when it comes to getting what you want. You can tell stories so well, or Possibly even you can spin a story. It's like on the spot, you can make up a little fib to get out of a situation. And often you may get told by others just how friendly and outgoing and how interesting you are. I mean, this is the first house, and the first house is the house of I am. Now, it's also important to locate your chart ruler, which is Mercury, because your Mercury placement is going to give you more information about your interests, your communication, your intellect, how you learn. It's also going to provide you with information about your type of humor. Essentially, your journey of self-discovery is tied to your speech, learning, and social contacts. Hi, it's me again. So I just wanted to inform you about the practical astrology guide that I have created. So it is a 20-day practical astrology guide, and it covers the ins and outs of astrology, looking also at how a natal chart is created. It touches on the astrological ages, it looks at astronomy as well, and also looking at those practical representations of the 7 classical planets and the angular points. So if you are someone who is interested in astrology, you're new to it, even if you are an astrology student or you're an astrologer, because we can all learn something different from each other, I definitely recommend this guide. My whole intention with this guide is that you will walk away from it thinking of astrology hopefully practically and also differently. And my major key aim really with this guide is using the stars for self-awareness. So learning about astrology, but also learning more about yourself and learning more about other people. Plus, it is super affordable, costing only about £2 per day. Though, if you are interested in just a little taster, so looking at you dipping your toes into what this guide is all about, that is available for you as well. The Sun in Gemini. Okay, so your ego is strongly tied to your education, communication, sociability, and your intellect, suggesting that you feel really good about yourself when you are able to communicate your ideas brilliantly. You feel proud of yourself when you manage to land a particular interview, or when someone whom you deem as knowledgeable, when they recognize you, or whenever you tell a funny joke or a funny story and it lands really amazingly with your audience. You love being applauded for your smarts and also for your wit, and you'll express yourself through using your words or through your body language. Perhaps you prefer to be complimented for your mind rather than for your looks, though being complimented for your looks also feels really good as well. Still, it's a big confidence boost when your mind is seen. Also, when you find people who you can bounce your many ideas off, great. You enjoy getting together with people and having a good quality chat. You enjoy catch-ups with friends and being able to share all of your thoughts with people who appreciate what you have to say. But if they aren't willing to listen, or if they act like they're so above what you have to say, they're so above a certain conversation that you want to talk about, you most likely won't feel very good about yourself. And also, you might seek different friends or different people to communicate with if or when this happens. Naturally though, do make sure to consider the aspects you have to the Sun, or if you have other placements which makes this very different, or which can make this very different. Still, you express qualities of curiosity and youthfulness, and your purpose is tied to these very things. Now, also do make sure to consider the house that your Sun in Gemini is in, because this is going to tell you the area of life that this energy is playing out in. The Moon in Gemini. Okay, so we're going from being outwardly engaging and social to feeling sensitive and emotional about what we are sharing with others. You are internally chatty. You might have a very restless mind, just like the other Gemini placements, but your emotions and your feelings are being tied to these things, okay? So what could this look like? This could look like you overthinking an emotion or reading too much into how you're feeling or trying to make logical sense of what you're feeling, often without actually processing the feeling through the body because it's being processed in the mind. And what this can perhaps lead to is further chitter chatter or unresolved emotional concerns. Now, on the other hand, there is also a need. There is an emotional need to communicate how you're feeling and to let out a certain emotion through your words. And when you feel comfortable and safe with others, you are likely to open up and you're going to share your emotions. So if you need to vent about something, you'll contact a friend, or if you need to share an experience that you had at work, you'll speak to your partner about it as soon as you get home. And at the same time, you need your feelings and your emotions to be supported. So you need to be heard. And if you're told to stop complaining, for example, or if you're told to shut up, for example, you'll clam up. And also, if there is something that is deeply bothering you emotionally, it can take some time to share it. You might need some privacy as you kind of think things over a little bit. Naturally though, do also consider the aspects being made to your Gemini Moon as well as other placements here. And also, I do want to add that you can be internally childlike, youthful, and humorous. You're the types of people who cheer others up with your humor, with your funny stories. And you can be so encouraging actually with your words. You know how to cheer people up really well with your words. And as well, I would say here, you need freedom. You need your freedom to be supported. That way you'll feel secure around others. Now, do also make sure to consider the house your moon in Gemini is in, because this is going to tell you the area of life that this energy is playing out in. Moving on to Mercury in Gemini. All right, so Mercury is home in this sign, and this is a strong and comfortable sign for Mercury. You can be great when it comes to communicating and conveying your thoughts. You can also be highly articulate, bright, and witty. You're the types of people who can turn on a camera and just go. You can go on Instagram live and just talk and maybe not even have any notes prepared or anything like that, because you just naturally can communicate. I'm kind of jealous, okay? I'm kind of jealous. I have Saturn conjunct Mercury. And you'll also talk so well. You are eager and curious learners, and you might learn from people who you think are really interesting. And you're also quite open to new teachers and sources, etc. You don't just stick to one person or to one source or one book or whatever it is. And really, it's your openness to other areas that makes you smarter. Learning is power, right? However, it is also likely that you can jump from one subject, one topic to the next, and then you spread yourself too thin. It's like that saying, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But apply this to your studies. Of course, this also means you can pick up so much knowledge from different places, which can be used within a field of study, but jumping around too much can result in you finding certain things difficult to retain, for instance. Also, you can be very creative when it comes to learning, and you can be quite entertaining with your words as well. You are great teachers. And when it comes to the likes of driving, commuting, and moving throughout your local city or neighborhood, you like to try new places, new spots. Perhaps you're a restless driver, or you notice little details whilst you're moving about. Naturally, do consider the aspects being made to your Gemini Mercury as well as other placements. But overall, You are curious and adaptable when it comes to the likes of writing, speaking, and media. And also do make sure to consider the house that your Mercury in Gemini is in, because this is going to show you the area of life that this energy is playing out in. Venus in Gemini. So we are bringing this versatile, outgoing, intellectual, and bright energy of Gemini, and we're applying it to your relationships, your resources, and your finances. And so you can be quite humorous and logical when it comes to love, for instance. When you're really interested in someone, you're most likely going to engage with them and tell them. And when you go on dates, etc., you like to switch things up and keep things interesting. Maybe you're attracted to people who are quite nerdy or witty themselves. Also, you prefer to explore your options when it comes to relationships. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean cheating, okay? Venus in Gemini often gets a bad rap for being cheaters. Sure, perhaps some of them can be, though perhaps anyone with any Venus sign can be a cheater, you know? Still, the more immature Venus in Gemini may be more likely to cheat, but this can also look like you exploring your options before you choose to commit to someone. But once you do commit, you can be very loyal people. But you also ask for truthfulness and for honesty in return, provided you aren't telling little porkies yourself. And when it comes to business partnerships, you'll bring both the logic and the witty parts of you. Such qualities can create likability within your partnerships, which can be great. And you'll have this good head between your shoulders. And in terms of finances, you'll most likely spend your money on the things that interest you the most. This can make it challenging at times for you to save for things long term. Then again, in your mind, life is too short. And you'll also likely make money from marketing, advertising, or customer service. I mean, you can be so good with people, and you can also be so creative. Now, do also consider the aspects being made to your Gemini Venus, as well as other placements, though essentially you prefer to keep things interesting and kind of light as well when it comes to relationships. And you value your mind. You value how your mind works. You value speech and communication as well. Now, do also make sure to consider the house that your Venus in Gemini is in, because this is going to tell you the area of life that this energy is playing out in. And lastly, Mars in Gemini. Okay, so here is the most passionate and motivating part of Gemini. This is where most of the action happens, both in the mind and when it comes to communication. And what I mean by this is you are the people who are most likely to talk the most or have a very overactive mind, or you're most likely to act on your ideas and your thoughts, or you're more willing to push forward with your ideas. This is where we notice as well nervousness and fidgeting on a different level. And it can be hard to sit still. Or it's that you have so many creative ideas that you so desperately want to start, but you'll most likely not give them enough time to materialize. Or it's that when you do act on a particular idea, you can become bored very easily. Though on the other hand, you can be focused. You know, there can be times when you are so focused. You can be focused when you deeply are interested in something, and when it lights you up from the inside. When both your mind and your heart are in it, you are very much driven. Next thing you know, you have written a novel, or you've published a blog, or you've started a podcast, and you're left just wondering, how the heck did I do that? How did I do that? It really does depend as well, though, I will say that, because Gemini energy is very changeable. And so your energy levels can be changeable. And when it comes to anger, you are typically verbal when you're angry, meaning you'll give someone a piece of your mind if they are really pissing you off, or if they're maybe picking on somebody else, they're not being very nice to someone else. Or it's that you'll rant or you'll vent with a friend. However, you might also say words that you can't take back. Basically, you can be quick with your words. You can use them as weapons. But as you do age and mature, perhaps you learn to think before you say something you don't mean. Now, also, your goals can be varied. You like to have your fingers in many pies. You make for amazing creatives, teachers, networkers, public speakers, and computing workers. And you can be so engaging and social with your clients, your friends, your lovers, colleagues, and so on. Naturally, though, do also consider the aspects being made to your Gemini Mars as well as other placements. But essentially here, you are such information junkies. You inspire and motivate others with your words. Perhaps you make for incredible motivational speakers. Also, though, before we do finish off, make sure to consider the house that your Mars in Gemini is in, because this is going to show you the area of life that this energy is playing out in. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video talking about the Gemini personality. Please do let me know if you find this video to be helpful today, and also if your placement resonated with you. I would really appreciate that. And again, let us know your Gemini placements down below. And as always, let us know your thoughts and your opinions. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button, and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!